All right, we're good, sir. Hello, this is the Dreadpirate once again, and with me is Starkiller, and we look like Tenacious D after a lot of cocaine, just coke bloat, both of us, and I don't know, I look like just like Batman, like just out of like just the middle playing Vulture, just yeah. This is terrible.
Okay.
You're right. This was terrible. I fucked up. All right. That's staying in. That's staying in. Hello, it's the Dreadpirate once again, and I'm here with Starkiller, and we're going to talk about nerdy things today. And yeah, this is we're doing a Dreadpirate pirate radio episode. I haven't done that in like 400 years. Yeah, so enjoy the video and like, comment, and subscribe, and all that other bullshit. And check out my novel, the Howling of Insects. Link in the description. Remind me to put that in the description because I'm terrible. Hi, and as I'd agreed, because I opened and said a bunch of stupid bullshit, and Josh was just like, "Why am I here?" We're gonna let you talk. Today we're gonna talk about WandaVision and a couple of other topics. So I want you to go. You go.
So yeah, I know this is super late. I'm sure everyone has talked about this show to death, but Dreadpirate and I haven't really shoot the shit about this show. We finally both caught up with it and decided to give thoughts. Overall, I think if I was to, I think it's a very good show. I think if I was to score, I'd probably give about an 8 out of 10 personally. That's how I like to rank things. It was when it was being announced and the trailers were coming out, I was excited. But I was also very curious because they kept it as much a mystery as possible. They were trying to say, oh, it's Wanda and Vision and this television tropes and all this stuff. But how do we get here? Who's the villain? What's all that stuff? That was kept hush-hush. And everything. And like I said before, I thought it was really, really good. I think they did a great job with television tropes. We went through the decades as the episodes progressed, from the 50s, the 60s, 70s, you get going. All the way into the 2000s with Modern Family and everything. It was pretty cool.
And the last two episodes were just a modern action Netflix show. It was just
once the mystery
it was a Marvel series.
Once the mystery of it is all revealed, and the charade has to be dropped because now we have your typical Marvel villain flying in the sky, laser fight that happens in the end. Yeah, it's pretty much a Marvel. Anytime it's outside of the Westview, which is where Wanda is living, and her hex has spread over and changed everything.
Spoiler alert, dude.
I really like it. People, I know people probably said this too, how where is this based off of or anything. It's kind of a mix of things. And you knew that too. It's like
that was one of the best things to watch about it. It's just this like Avengers assembled, the time her and Vision got together and like had a kid.
Yeah, there's a lot on the Vision Wanda miniseries where they first have the kids, like she wishes upon them and boom. They take from the idea of there even was in the later comics there's a Vision comic where he tried to have his own family. And he's wearing like a tweed sweater vest kind of thing, and he has like different robot, a wife, kids, and all stuff. So the idea of him living in suburbia is kind of what they added to this, or mixed it in. Acting wise, I think everyone did a fantastic job. Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff, she's killing it. This is really
second
her
soda of the
show.
podcast, by the way. Just addiction in progress.
This is like I said, she did a fantastic job. This was her show, obviously, but I mean that she was the focal point that to carry the emotional center of all this. Off camera, you and I talked about the fact that this show does an excellent job of conveying the 5 stages of grief. When we leave Wanda,
we talked about this yesterday, basically.
Yeah, when we last saw Wanda was back at Endgame. Tony's funeral was probably the last time you see this character, and show tells us about 3 or so weeks after that, after the 3 weeks after the funeral itself. Wanda immediately goes looking for Vision's body and an organization called SWORD. It was cool to see SWORD introduced in this. Granted, I hope it evolves because right now SWORD is more of it's basically like a replacement for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Even the acronyms
they kind of strike me as like government-sponsored Umbrella Incorporated. We make bioweapons, but it's okay. We're from the government.
No, in this case, they make sentient weapons.
Bioweapons.
Which is,
I think, therefore I am. Vision was alive.
No, but in other words, it's androids. That's what they have Vision to do with. And it's like, okay. I did love... I did like seeing the whole...
Last episode of Falcon the Winter Soldier, the T-Virus is going to pop out. Just prediction. $10. I think we should talk about, before we move on to our next topic, we should talk a little... I saw a little bit of the first episode at my brother's house, but baby Xenia kept me distracted, so it was like, oh man, this is so good. Come on, watch Paw Patrol with me. I don't want to tangent too hard. They showed me Mighty Paws. Because you have a kid, and...
I know.
Dude, I was kind of... Rocky's a Green Lantern. That was...
Okay.
That was kind of cool. I was impressed by... I didn't think Paw Patrol would impress me, but it was like... Fought a giant robot? Your joke about how Ryder's... Tony Stark's illegitimate son is kind of coming true. It's there. It's all there.
I haven't seen the show in a very long time. My child's much older now, but I think I did see that episode. I don't think that episode is new. Anyway, back to this.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh gosh, what is there to say? I was trying to say that I like when when she goes into SWORD, Wanda goes into SWORD and sees the dismantled Vision. I really enjoy that. I've been reading comics since I was 5, and I love the adventures.
Really? Amazing Spider-Man t-shirt. Show those sexy titties.
But seriously though, the point is I remember reading the scene in the comics where Vision is disassembled. He's older. I mean, it's worse in the comic because he's like, what is it? It's almost not quite a football field, but it's a large auditorium. He's spread out to every single screw, and I mean he's stretched.
You remember in season 4 of Buffy, where the Initiative has that kind of surgery pit swimming pool where they're walking all the. It was something like that because I think I didn't read this. I think you read this. I didn't.
Something like that. It's in the comics, a double page spread. I mean, she walks in the room and there's like Wonder Man with her, and then you see she's like, "What the?" And you see over several surgical tables they have pieces of him. He looks like a puzzle. I mean, you're like, if they're hard enough, you're like, they took the fingers and stretched it about 5 feet long and the toes and everything. It's like, god dang.
So which version of Wanda Maximoff is more traumatized?
I think they're both equally traumatized because that's the thing. She has a traumatic history in the comics too. It's the reason why they ended up doing the story where, like you said, you entered Avengers Disassembled. I know that when they were promoting this, Elizabeth also was telling people what to read to get an idea for this, and one of them was House of M. And I'm like,
I love that that actors that are part of the MCU are becoming comic book nerds too. It reminds me of the Deep Space Nine crew becoming Star Trek fans as they went along. I love that.
I think so, but I also think part of it is, to me, I feel like that's Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
Telling what to say, because he himself is a big comic fan.
Yeah.
And he himself wants to find the best way to get these stories told, but again, their way. It's not going to be, rip the pages in the panel and throw it on the screen. It's going to be a version of it. But what I'm saying is I enjoyed the disassembling of Vision. I love seeing
White Vision when he was all
that
should
one.
We say spoiler alert? Because it's for anybody who hasn't seen it.
Yeah, this is all spoilers, obviously.
Spoiler alert! Cut out this time code, and we'll talk about Star Wars.
I mean, if you wanted to throw it out there, sure. I kind of just went into this because I know that WandaVision's been done for a while, and most people have already seen this or talked about this online. So I just assumed if you're coming here, you already know. But I'd say if I had any problems with the show, I think it. I hate to say this. I think it had to do with the villain, personally.
Once again, your phone farts, and that's the time for me to add my 2 cents, which is your catchphrase. So it's like, yeah, I think we talked about this too, how like people were starved during the quarantine for MCU content because we just like, I was like, oh yeah, Black Widow, I can't wait, and then a year of horrible things happening, and no toilet paper, and zombies, and just awful, the dark times, 2020. You thought Cyberpunk was dystopian shit. But like, it was like the first thing since we've seen since like Far From Home, and it was just like, I had pretty much the same reaction where it's like, this is really freaking great. I like seeing Emma Caulfield from Buffy, as a big Buffy fan. It was like Dottie, her character in the second episode. There's like, yeah, I really I enjoyed seeing all the different versions, like eras of the show. It was just like even from outside the comic book angle, just kind of like the history of television and just like seeing the different eras, like just seeing all that come and kind of be realized. Like you have like even like the third episode where we're like full 60s 70s, and you got Monica running around in the bell bottoms, and it was like the kind of casual racism. You'll make a great nurse one day. She's like, it was just like the times. It's just like, I don't know. We've also talked a lot about Lovecraft Country and debated like that show back and forth, and it was kind of neat. Like, I don't know. I was like fresh off of like that show and my feelings about that. It was kind of cool to see like tackling that a little bit again. Marcy, you are more exposed to Two Broke Girls than I am, and so like, and I'd never seen her on that show, and it was like, I remember, man, I can't stand this character in the Thor movies, and it's like I loved her in this. She was great, and then I finally saw Two Broke Girls, and I'm like, Marcy. And
I'm feel a little bit of the show. Yeah. It's okay.
But if we want to get to the villain, I think we have two like dueling opinions on this. Like, I more or less agree with your point on it, but let's talk about Agatha Harkness, who I really enjoyed. I have a feeling you're going to talk about the positives first, and then you will destroy my dreams and destroy everything I love about this character. I think she's the best villain we've had. Like I think she's up there with Thanos and Loki and Killmonger. Go ahead. Just ruin my day. Ruin my day, Josh. Ruin my day and tell me how garbage that wonderful performance was. Go ahead.
No, her performance was awesome.
Yeah, excellent performance.
The thing that could overshadow it is how good Catherine Hahn is an actress.
Yeah.
So you would naturally assume that the character written is just as good, and it's not bad though. And
it's very subtle. You can miss it like from episode to episode. She's just the nosy neighbor, and you see like the nosy neighbor all different eras. I think my personal favorite is the '80s when she's in the cat suit. She's in the workout outfit, so it's just like, and she's all cougarish, and I'm like, so that appeals to me. So, but I'm a simple creature, sir. I'm like Frank Miller. I'm shameless.
I think you're going to book in the water this entire podcast.
Yeah. But it's just like just excellent. She stole every scene she was in, and then for my money, like early on when they're in the Halloween scene when before we go into Catherine Hahn, before we go into that, recasting Pietro, I have to talk about this. I have to talk about how happy I was to see X-Men movie Quicksilver in this, and it was like, that was like one of the moments, like I texted you out of nowhere, they recast Pietro, and I'm just like, it was just one of those little X-Men hints. It's like, we're bringing the X-Men in, we're bringing it in, and it wasn't, you were talking about how like the internet went crazy and thought all this stuff, and it was like, and it was all bullshit, but it was like, it was just kind of it was just so cool to see him, and it was like, again, it was like, I think kind of a television thing. It's like it was so cool to see him, like, I know him from American Horror Story, and then, of course, in the X-Men movies, and it was just, I thought he was really, really kind of stole the show when he was there, but, like, in the Halloween episode, Back to Agnes, Vision finding her in the witch outfit, and she's kind of all crazy and cackling, like, at the edge of the town, it was like, she's all in our heads, and just, just a little, And then, like, I think that's one of those scenes you can go back after watching the whole thing and look back at that, and you're like, even though you know it's an act, she's bullshitting everybody. It's like crazy witch lady. But yeah.
See, that's the thing that's one of the things too. Like, I get that they're saying, oh, it was Agatha all along, and that she's always been doing this and that, and I'm almost like, but part of me feels like, while she was in control of herself most of the time, I kind of think there were times where she slipped. I really feel like there were moments where she was caught in Wanda's hex.
So we're I think we're getting into fan theory territory. I think what was really going on was she, and okay, so we don't know this. I think this is just fan theorizing at this point, but it's like,
I'm not 100% sure.
She sensed some kind of magical disturbance. Is like, what the fuck's that? She goes there and checks it out, and she uses her own abilities to kind of slip in. It's like she was kind of like I think one of the most powerful scenes is episode 3 when she confronts Monica. It's like, how'd you know about that? How'd you know about Ultron? And she, it's one of my favorite scenes in the whole thing is her just sending her sailing through the whole freaking like buildings and outside of Hexfield, and then cheer up, Sleepy Jean, as all the helicopters come in and everything. But it's like, at the end of the day, Monica was completely controlled. Monica had no control over anything.
No.
Yeah, I feel like in the case of Agnes was using her magic to slip under the radar. I'm totally being controlled. You're totally affecting me. She was probably just kind of going with the flow of it. A D&D term was she was deliberately failing a will save, perhaps. So it would go underneath, basically, like, Wanda would never really realize what she was up to, but really she was, like, observing this the entire time to figure out, what is this person's deal? How are they able to do this? I need to understand this type of magic. I think that was what was going on there. That's my fan theory.
Okay.
It was like especially like in the second to last episode where she's kind of like, I've been putting up with your bullshit. I've been putting up with all this whatever you've been doing, putting us in these different eras. It's like, no, I need to know where your power comes from. What's the deal? Show me how we got to this point. So I mean, it was like I think she was slipping under the radar. Radar the whole thing. I think the thing, like, we talked about, like, and elaborate more on this if you want, is that her performance is really good and not a cackling evil type person. It was a very subtle performance the whole way through. And like, we got to know her for like 9 episodes, and then kind of in the last episode, I just want your power. I just want to absorb your power. When really everything we'd seen up to that point was more, no, she had a more complicated reason for being there. She was like, and like her performance, the reason why I hold it so highly in terms of MCU villains is it felt more like, I'm not just evil for the sake of evil. I have a point. Like Thanos believes he's doing the right thing. Thanos believes, I have to wipe out half the universe to save it. I have to kill my own daughter in order for the greater good. Killmonger is, had the chance to be a king and grew up in the hood, and he's fucking angry about it. Loki is, like, always destined for greater things, but it was always Thor, so he was resentful of that. And then I think one of my personal favorites would be Baron Mordo, which is like just a righteous warrior that discovers everything that he's dedicated to was a lie, and so he's angry about it, and we're going to see that in the Multiverse of Madness coming up. But it was like, I feel like it felt like her performance was like, I was drawn to you, I need to understand you. Yes, I've been kind of subversive and doing things kind of negatively and whatnot, but I'm really, you are a puzzle I need to solve. And the revelation of that puzzle is you are the Scarlet Witch. You have been talking about in the Darkhold. You are this dangerous thing. And then, oh, by the way, I absorb power, and I'm absorbing your power. And it's like, it felt like it was just sort of a sudden, just, you were so three-dimensional and so good. Back to 2D. Back to Rita Repulsa. And elaborate.
Well, that's, I mean, you said it. The problem was, so it looks like she's infiltrating Westview, and she's pretending to be trans or whatever. Which, the more I'm thinking about, the more I'm thinking, okay, yeah, that is what they wanted to believe, especially with that little Agatha all along saying the secret from all the moments where she's messing.
You're coming through really quiet. I'm having a little trouble hearing you. You're coming through a little really quiet. As
All right, let me try to speak up.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's on my end or your end.
Probably.
Okay. All right.
Anyway.
Better. Yeah.
All right, let me try this again.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my problem with Agatha, is that, well, they have her sneak in. She's infiltrating. She's doing things behind the scenes or whatever, apparently, and all this stuff. Because part of me was even thinking maybe she was caught up in this, and I think it's the Halloween scene you're talking about when Vision finds her and he touches her and you see that glow when she wakes up and everything like everyone else. So it made me want, when they redid it, I was like, okay, so what, is the glow have no effect on her then? Is she just pretending that she's cuckoo and then she's pretending that she's awake? I guess that's what it is. I guess the idea is that ignore the glow. It means nothing to her.
I think she was acting the entire time, but also that might have been a window into her personal madness.
I think that's what the showrunners want me to think. That's part of the whole sequence. The fact that they actually show her looking at the camera, fixing her with while Vision's talking, and then turning around and acting.
She has a high enough will save to bypass all this. It's all D&D, dude. It's all D&D.
But part of me was thinking, my little theory was that while she is very powerful, clearly Wanda is stronger. That's kind of the point of this. The whole "I want your power" thing. And
she's more experienced than Wanda, but Wanda's more raw power.
But what I'm what I'm saying is that for a while I was watching the show, I was thinking that Agatha was even trying to free herself while dealing with this. Mm-hmm. There were moments where she was taking over every once in a while. Like, it took a lot of effort of her to do what she was capable of doing. At least that's what I thought. But as the show goes on, it seems like no, she's been very aware the entire time. She's been pulling certain strings to get certain outcomes her way. Like, she's trying to dredge and move her along. Because I think I said this earlier, was that the beauty of this whole show was about grief. And that there are moments throughout the entire 9 episodes where you can go through the stages of grief about what Wanda has lost, and it's all been building. Because it's not just Vision; it's the fact that her family died when she was young. Then Pietro dies. She gets a new family in the form of the Avengers. They break up with the Civil War. She's on the run. Her friend, who becomes her lover, Vision, they're finally gonna, have a life, or at least they're planning to. So he's attacked,
and then some big purple space asshole shows up.
Then she has to. For the sake of the world, she has to kill him, essentially.
Yeah.
He does it. He's brought back and killed again before her eyes. He dies twice in front of her, and then she disappears. She comes back missing 5 years. She angry.
One of my favorite moments of Endgame. You will pay for what you've done to me. I don't even know who you are. You will. You will.
But just because she beats Thanos like a redheaded stepchild doesn't mean she's over her pain.
Yeah.
She hasn't been able to move on. It's too soon.
And again, beating Thanos was a team effort. Let's not forget.
Yeah, that's the point. You're missing my point. My point is her emotional journey, not the fight.
Right.
And the thing is, so as a result, she's dragging her ass through these stages of denial and anger and all this stuff. And that's what Agatha is trying to, like, okay, let's move this. Let's add the fake Pietro or Fietro, and let's put him in here, see what emotional response that gets and how we can move her along. That's what this all is. She's trying to get her to talk to someone and not reveal her hand.
Yeah.
But this was so good, like you said. But the problem is, we get to the very end, and all of a sudden, I'm a cartoon villain, and it's like, but why though? When they show her background in the Salem witch trials, you feel the sympathy for her. She doesn't know why she is what she is, like how she just kind of drains power from people or whatever. But then she rebels in it. She was draining the people that were trying to kill her coven, her mom.
And even the whole like two-dimensional villain thing, you could work that with a couple more lines of dialogue. Like oh, I'm a dark witch. Yeah, well, you know what? They tried to kill me. They tried to kill me. They thought I was a bad thing. So why don't I revel in that? I've taken their power and their souls, and that's what they fucking get. You know, and they'll do that to you the moment they get it, Scarlet. They know what you are, Scarlet Witch. It's like something like you could add a level to that, which adds a dimension. Especially, you know, this stuff is so tied to X-Men. You know, it's like so like she's Wanda's Magneto's kid in regular continuity. You could tie it to that. It's just like they fear what they don't understand. What do you think they're gonna do to you? It's just like, you know, it's a great thing. Like, you know, Magneto went to Agatha. You know, they have a lot more in common. It was like, yeah, he was a Jew and they took his parents to the concentration camp. He's a mutant. He's persecuted. Who does he go to help Wanda learn her powers and control her powers? A witch. She was persecuted too. They all have something in common that brings them together. So it's like,
But anyway, see, that's the thing too. Like I personally, I didn't let my theories of what I thought the show was gonna have in it ruin it for me though. That's a good thing. Because for me personally, I kind of wanted to see. In my mind, when I was going into the show, I thought that the villain was Wanda. That she's going through this, and she kind of is, but I wanted her to be the villain in essence, meaning that the person that needed to be stopped was Wanda. It wasn't when I thought of Agatha Harkness being in the show, I thought of Agatha Harkness trying to be her therapist.
Because she's not really a villain in the comics. She's a neutral character in the comics.
She's a neutral character, yes. But and this is what I was thinking they were going to do in the show, is that what if, when I first went into the show, I was thinking
Josh in profile.
Wanda was going to go somewhere to deal with her pain, but also noticing that something's wrong with her powers. She's having difficult controlling it. And it leads her to Agatha. And Agatha just so happens to live in Westview or whatever. And when they're talking and she's talking to her, training, whatever you want to call it, the pain comes up and she flips out, and that's what I thought was going to occur. You understand? And so Agatha, being very powerful, is the only one to try to slip and bob and weave through this. But she doesn't yank her out of it automatically, because she knows she needs to experience this pain. She has to grow and go through this. But at the same time, she's there to help her. So that's what I was saying. Like, to me, Agatha, I thought Agatha was going to be her antagonist, but not a villain. She's the thing that's taking her away from her dreamland.
And she is pretty much like the main villain of the whole thing. But I think that would have been a great thing to realize. Like, the main thing that's confronting her, it's not really her enemy. Like, you know, I like to bring up Star Trek. It's Picard and Q. It's like, I'm challenging you, but I'm not really against you. And Swordhead is the throwaway villain. It's like,
but unfortunately, that's not what happens in the show.
Right.
It's in the show, what does get executed is that, and we're not really sure why. Is she, ever since Salem, are you telling me that she's addicted to the power? What is the reason? There's so many questions for her motive at that point. And they're just like, oh, we're out of time. But you had 9 episodes.
You had 9 episodes.
Which the show was originally meant to be 6. And so they stretched it out because they wanted to give people more content, because, as you said before, we were starving for MCU content. Mm-hmm. Just anything good, honestly.
Well, and there's little hints like when Monica goes and looks in the basement and gets confronted by Quicksilver, and you see those veins, and those veins have purple energy, and like the moment I saw that, dark dimension. Like yeah, the Dormammu. It's like, is she connected to the dark dimension? Does she worship Dormammu? Does she have some? How does she feel about the Sanctum Sorceress? We never know. We never find out. And it's like, it's frustrating, but it does leave me wanting more, which I think is a positive thing.
Like I said, I don't. Okay, here's the thing. I'm not using those. I'm not going to take those things and hold that against the show or her character. I'm just saying that because not everything needs to be answered.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm just saying, what is it that you want?
Yeah.
Do you want the power? Do you want to help her? What is it you want? If you want her power, why? and it doesn't have to be much, you know. But it just kind of was like power. Okay, she didn't say I want the power or why I feel this way, what she can use it for. She didn't nothing.
Yeah.
There was no. It was just. So that was my problem with her. Like I do like her.
Yeah.
As a villain.
I think she was very memorable, and I really enjoyed her. But it was like it's frustrating, right?
Yeah, no, it's very frustrating for me. For me, I can't rank her as high as you by no stretch of imagination.
Like right underneath Baron Mordo. That's for me. I'll put it right, slip right in there.
I don't know.
Slightly above Ironmonger.
I don't have the whole list in my head, honestly, but
I forgot Ego. Ego's a great villain.
He is, but he's better than her to me. It's like
Ego's
the problem is because everything was good up until that point, and she dropped several numbers for me as a result.
Because she says things which are like complex, like you are the Scarlet Witch. You were talking about in the Darkhold. You will bring destruction. There's all these little nuggets of like character development.
Well, here's the thing. The reason for that obviously is those are nuggets, as you said, to be answered in another property. That's the whole thing. Like that's what people need to get used to, the fact that anything in the MCU, and it's been like that for a while now, and it's not changing. There's constant going to be Easter eggs, sequel begging, the whole thing. Why? Because it's an institution.
Yeah.
They know you're going to buy. You know you're going to want to see. They know that. So it's a constant, continuous thing. There's always going to be something to connect with something else. That being said, I really did. The one thing I say is that I really enjoyed the fact that she did not die. That Agatha is imprisoned in Westview, thinking she's Agnes, and that's great because we can bring her back.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep you around. I'll use you as a resource, and it's like maybe we'll get some more development for her later because I really enjoyed her. I had so much fun with Agnes. It was like I really maybe it's like. Again, I agree with you on everything. It's just at the same time, I feel like it's just she's so enjoyable to me. It's like we can fix this later. It's not like okay.
Well, that's
the favorite thing
hold on. Yeah. I am viewing it for what they gave me,
right?
As opposed to what it's gonna, because that can completely change when we see her next a couple of years from now, whatever project. Like for example, I remember hearing a lot of people not liking Loki when Thor came out. They thought he was okay, but he was forgettable for them.
Yeah.
Me, on the other hand, I thought Loki was very good in Thor 1. I really enjoyed him, and I was praying that he cheats death and he was going to come out. And I think right around the time the movie came out, it was announced that Loki was the villain for the Avengers, which I was like, yes. Because the longer you keep some of these people around and you show them again, and you get to see the arcs of the character.
And you can't have every villain live, but it's like maybe we're just spoiled because of the comics, because like they kind of, even if characters die in the comics, they come back. You know, I don't know.
Well, not just that. Okay, I'm not going to use that angle. For me personally, it's the fact that before any of those characters did die, they existed for a long time in the pages of the comic, which meant that they had multiple times for us as readers to become attached to them, to learn to hate the villain and love to hate the villain. And you are not going to get that in a movie. Not always.
Yeah.
Some, but you have to sacrifice certain things. I mean, for example, Joker always steals the show in a Batman movie, but because they make sure they focus a lot with him and give him great moments, Batman in those movies, Batman is kind of put to the side in a way. Nobody complains though. Neither did I.
Yeah.
But that's the case. Whereas, and I feel like with Batman, you were able to get away with that. And what I'm referencing is Batman '89 and of course The Dark Knight.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
that's what I said at the beginning. I look like an old fat vulture Michael Keaton.
So what I'm saying is that you can get away with that. You can get away with it in a sense because Batman is Batman.
Yeah.
There are people who don't know English or have never visited America, but they know Batman.
There are dead people who know Batman.
Yeah. There's so many people who know Batman. It wasn't the same when they created the MCU.
Yeah.
Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, they were not household names. I knew them, you knew them, but they were not household names. They were
Right.
just hardcore Marvel, comic book mainstays. So they needed to make sure people knew and liked them.
Yeah.
And that's why the focus in Phase 1 is, their origin story and all that kind of stuff. But as you get past all that, right, we're good. We get them. It's time to kind of flesh out some of the villains, especially the bigger ones. You know? Like, that was the reason why I said, okay, Loki, don't kill Loki, because Loki is a big-time Marvel villain.
Yeah.
He's a pain in the ass to everybody, not just Thor. If you keep him around, it's gonna pay. You're gonna be thankful. Speaking of which, I'm not gonna go too into this, but about I think either yesterday or 2 days ago, the trailer for the Loki Disney Plus series dropped.
Nice.
I saw that. It was very good. It's of course it stars, Tom Hiddleston. That's obviously, but it also stars Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson's in there.
Nice.
He's playing a character I don't really remember from the comics. If he's from the comics, it's a deep cut.
Who's he playing?
He seems to be the chief or director of an organization in the show known as the Time Variance Authority, TVA. Yeah, the Time Variance Authority. Now, the Time Variance Authority...
Is this an Exiles reference?
No. Time Variance Authority actually first made its appearances in the Mighty Thor, written by Walter Simonson back in the 80s.
Okay.
And I just recently been going through classic comics I've been reading before, especially Walter Simonson's run, and I just met them. So I was like, when I found out, I was like, oh, that's that thing that probably nobody understands. Awesome. Okay.
I did not understand it, but now that you explained that it's an old school Thor thing, that makes more sense than Exiles. It's like, yeah, they would go back and reference that classic Thor thing.
It's not something people would have thought, because they're like, wait, time? Yeah, like somewhere in his run, he decided to bring out the Time Variance Authority. Mm-hmm. And honestly, what they're basically, I hate to do this, but I got it. They're time cops, essentially.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, time cop.
But the original outfit to him looks like I'm sorry, Walter. It's kind of like a knockoff version of Judge Dredd. They look like judges, and they're on these speeder bikes that help them travel through
time traveling judges.
And now from the
Power
trailer,
Rangers Time Force. Time Force.
From the trailer, they don't have any costumes like that. I've just seen people in like jackets that say TVA. So basically, it's like Time FBI, if you will. But they humanize them more. But there's things, there's hints that they drop there, like the fact that Loki name drops the Timekeepers, and I'm like, oh, I know the Timekeepers. That's another deep cut. The Timekeepers, for the life of me, I can't remember their first appearance, but I do remember that they mattered in what is one of my favorite Avengers stories of all time, Avengers Forever. And the Timekeepers are basically like these. It was like 3 people, and they have faces almost similar to what Kang the Conqueror wears.
Yeah,
I think that's where he developed his mask from. Their look, and they see all of time, and they exist outside of time and everything. And originally, Kang worked for them, or he got caught up. No, when he becomes Immortus, he ends up becoming their servant or whatever. But when he's Kang, he's that crazy teenage rebel that's doing. Whatever.
Teen Iron Man.
Like, oh, that Kang. It's kind of, and I don't want to get too crazy into this because it gets very, very convoluted and complicated. Because at some point they end up, Kang and Immortus become 2 separate.
My favorite incarnation is the version of him from the X-Men animated cartoon where he's the weird time janitor.
Yeah,
because that was such a good multi-part episode with Apocalypse and Sinister and everybody, and it was just so awesome. And then Bishop is just dealing with this wacky time goblin janitor. Someone's screwing with time. And then once it's all resolved, they break up the axis of time. He just turns into some wizard dude. I'm like, who the fuck is that? And then 15 years later, I meet this guy in high school, and he's like, that was Immortus.
When I was a kid, before I entered high school, and I saw that episode, I was like, am I supposed to know? Are we supposed to know who this is? Because they took a second going, oh, all this mess, and then he transforms, and like the camera like stays on him in all his green and purple glory, and then and I'm like,
the X-Men animated series was doing like Marvel MCU like hints like way before it was cool. Like, you know, a shadow pops up nearby when chaos is happening, is something X-Men related. Webbing, it's Spider-Man, or Deadpool's running around shooting people for no reason. It's just like yeah.
In the '90s, this has kind of been confirmed that they tried.
Yeah.
Marvel Entertainment tried to create a Marvel animated universe, very much how DC was able to do this. It was hard because again, DC belongs to Time Warner Brothers, all that kind of stuff, and so it's one tight little place. Whereas Marvel was like, I'm going to license this to Saban and this one and that one, and hopefully we can. And there was meant to be a cohesive idea, believe it or not. Like the crossovers with Fantastic Four and Iron Man definitely were their canon, but they also were trying to say that we are and Hulk.
Yeah,
but they were also trying to say the same thing with Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man eventually goes into the Secret Wars.
Yeah,
and they did get the same. They tried really hard to get the same voice actor, but because some people were Union and others were not, and I forget if Saban was in Union or not. That's why the Fantastic Four voices are not the same, but it's meant to be the same people.
Yeah, and I really like how when that episode where he teams up with the X-Men, it was like that was one of the better episodes of Amazing Spider-Man, and you know,
completely.
You know what? It's hard when you have that season 1 of Iron Man and Fantastic Four, though. All for four, Fantastic Four. Remember the Mole Man, Josh? No, not the Mole Man. Remember the Puppet Master? I remember the Puppet Master. I'll put a tiny crown on a puppet of myself and people will worship me! Out a window. Best villain ever.
We'll talk about that some other day. For now, I'm pretty much done with WandaVision.
Couple more things I think are worth noting is... I talked about this before. I think one thing that was really great, and I'm starting to notice this in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, is it's so cool to watch a TV series with these characters that you normally just see in the movie. What's great about the MCU is that it is like this just kind of ongoing long television show, and because it's like 20 plus movies at this point that just are all interconnected, and you get to see these people over and over again. But it was just really cool to just hang out with Paul Bettany and Annette Olsen. Did I get her name wrong again? Elizabeth Olsen.
God.
It was really cool to hang out with Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen for like 9 episodes, and just get all this really great character development. I think we both we both really liked Monica, and I think the thing that made me binge watch it, because I'd watched a couple episodes at your brother's house, and then like he kicks me out, like it was getting late. It was like, oh, I gotta put the baby to bed. Get out of here, Eddie. And it was like, but I saw the first 5 minutes of the 4th episode, and I saw Monica come back from the snap, and I'm like, and I had to go home and binge the whole thing. I just had to watch the whole thing right there and then. It was.
That is when the show really picks up, because first off, when they released it, episodes 1 and 2 came out the very same day.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, very smart, because again, starving for content, but also the 2 episodes are okay. Like the show,
they're
first
cute.
Episode, yeah, they're cute, and I love the homages to classic, you know, like Dick Van Dyke and Bewitched and I Love Lucy and stuff. I love the fact that the special effects are very practical.
Yeah.
At the time.
But they have these just tiny nuggets here and there where things get really scary. Like
I love the little seeds that they dropped in the beginning. Like,
who's doing this to you, Wanda? Who's doing this to you? And Emma Caulfield breaks the glass and is bleeding. It's like, what are you? And then we go back. And then I think the thing that's the scariest thing was the beekeeper coming up out of the sewer. It's like, no. It's like, what the fuck is that? It was just a sword agent in a hazmat suit that wandered into the portal, and he just got turned into a beekeeper.
Yeah, because it's the closest thing to it. Like once you cross the hex line,
yeah,
everything changes.
So I thought that was going to be like a demon or something working for like Blackheart that was like the Bee Man. It was.
The that's part of where the internet went nuts, because they were thinking that the dude in the hazmat suit was connected to Mephisto and all this stuff. Like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
It was Mephisto. Which is why the joke now is anytime something pops up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's like, oh, it's Mephisto. Get ready.
He's gonna take Falcon and the Winter Soldier's marriage and love because they're gay. Get it?
Yes, he needs that. No, that's gonna be great. When Mephisto finally arrives,
he doesn't want Spider-Man and Mary J's relationship. Oh no, you two and Falcon and Winter Soldier like motherfucker.
That's the joke. To troll everyone, he will appear in the next, Tom Holland Spider-Man film, and I want your marriage. I'm 16. What?
It's like,
what are you talking about?
Not you, them. And Falcon and Winter Soldier like, ha ha, it's a gay joke. Get it? I'll fuck with you in a couple movies. Don't worry about it. I'm out. Bye, bitches.
Because we did a dick joke in WandaVision with Ralph Boner. So,
couple favorite moments. I think, okay, we really like Monica Rambeau. I think Monica Rambeau was excellent in this. She was great, and it made me feel really a lot better about Captain Marvel, because we talked about this, and the rabbit hole I went down. The internet still hates Brie Larson, Josh. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I've gone on record that I really liked Captain Marvel. It was pretty good. I think it was a decent science fiction movie. The worst thing about it is the Lightspeed engine. And I don't think I need to go in on that. It was like, that's not how physics works. And it's like, stop it. And it's like, I felt she was a little unwelcome in Endgame, but it was like, I felt like this and Homecoming made me feel good about the Skrulls. It made me feel... I just remembered she was that cute little girl, that adorable little girl who loved, Auntie Carol so much, and then she's like, where'd you go? And then she's kind of grown up and become a woman herself. I thought she was really great. It was really cool seeing Wiccan and Speed. That was something for some reason I never thought I'd see, but it was, again, the Halloween costumes. It was just like, he's and then they're running around, like, trying to help save the day with Quicksilver, and it was just like, that was cool. There's a lot of little great moments in the show. I really enjoyed it. Quick talk about... Because you want to do a big thing when we both watched it and it's done for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, if I recall. I was watching it, but I kept getting interrupted for Paw Patrol. So...
I do, because I kind of want to do similar to WandaVision, but sooner, where we can go, oh, this was great, and this is that, what was fresh.
Really good action scenes. Really, I see what you mean about how the first episode's not the greatest, but it was still good. It was it felt a little slow, but that first opening scene, he's running around shooting bitches, and it was and a certain villain that was a minor villain in a certain probably best MCU movie was back, and I was happy to see a certain frog bouncing around. Let's just put it that way.
Forget you, man. I like this character too much from.
I don't want to spoil who it is since I haven't finished it yet and it's not out yet. But it was I know, dude. He best incarnation of that character, because the jokes on that character are legendary. But
it is.
It is. That's all I need to say.
I think it's a great interpretation of this character that most people do. I mean, I don't even know if people remembered he was in Captain America: Winter Soldier to begin with. However, I want more of him, because it'd be really cool to just have this constant recurring character.
He's a fun spy and a martial artist, and I think we've said too much about who this is. I saw the scene. I saw the scene with the psychologist, and I liked seeing psychoanalyze Bucky, and just like it's good. I haven't finished it again because I was a tiny little girl was like, come play with me. Look at my dinosaur toys, and I'm like, they're adorable. You're whatever, child. Yes, I will amuse you. So
go finish those.
Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol. This Friday is episode 4.
Yeah.
I look forward to.
Hey, Josh, this conversation about WandaVision made us feel so good. Why don't we talk about something that'll make us miserable? Let's talk about Star Wars. The hot cesspool of political nonsense that is modern Star Wars talk. Remember when Star Wars made you feel good? Let's talk about Jeremy. Let's talk about Garbage and Oh, I mean Geeks and Gamers. Sorry. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Gina Carano.
All right, that's gonna be you. And I'll be here to be tortured.
Okay.
No, just okay.
Should we touch on the rabbit hole at all?
Depends on what you mean by rabbit hole, because it's just
the rabbit hole of misery that I went down through in the dark times. the era of Agent Orange. When Lar Fleas, bearer of the Orange Lantern Ring, took over the Earth for 4 years. I wonder who I'm talking about.
I don't think we need to go that far, though. I mean, you need to organize your thoughts,
okay,
my friend.
Okay, all right. You know what?
That's far. That while it may be connected, it's too far away from the whole Star Wars thing.
In another video I haven't edited yet, I throw Ethan Van Sciver completely under the bus, so we'll save it for there. But needless to say, quick 5-minute recap. So J.J. Abrams started making Star Wars movies, and everybody was excited because we were all mad at George because, I don't know, because the prequels were silly, and the Jedi, the greatest Star Wars cartoon of all time, started off with them rescuing Jabba the Hutt's fat son, and that was kind of dumb. And it's like, look at this awesome character we introduced, but she's really annoying in the first couple episodes, and so everybody's mad at George, and then a giant mouse that owns everything and owns Marvel decided to buy Star Wars, and then the fucker who made the new Star Trek movies into like an Apple iPhone showed up, and I'm gonna make a Star Wars movie. And he made a Star Wars movie, and it was pretty good. And then I went to the military, and you got fatter and hairier, and then and everybody's all like, dude, that new Star Wars movie's coming out. You excited? Yeah, it's gonna be great. Disney doesn't fuck up, and then The Last Jedi happened, and we don't talk about The Last Jedi. And then we started talking about The Last Jedi, and it was like, that was kind of awful. And then it was like, yeah, it was really awful because the libs are taking over Hollywood. It's the libs. And then you know, I started like, you know, like I just thought it was a bad movie, but I think, and then I came to you and it's like, Josh, you know, I think the libs might be taking over Hollywood. Josh, I want you to join my neo-Nazi cult. And then you're like, stop it, Eddie. And it's like, I'm sorry, Josh, I'm sorry. And then it was like, hey, Josh, I have all these YouTube subscriptions that are awful and I can't watch anymore because they're white supremacists disguised as Star Wars fans. And then The Mandalorian happened, and it was good, and it was better, and things are good, and everything's fine, and then everything's fine, and then you know, Joe Biden won the election, and nothing bad happened ever again until the month of my birthday showed up, and the 6th day, yeah, it's. Are we sure 2020 happened, Josh, or was that just some kind of like dystopian nightmare? Did I get a vision from Puck, from Gargoyles, who was like, they didn't happen, but it could happen. Say it's a possible future if David Xanatos takes over the world. And then Gina Carano said that like Hollywood is taking children to a Pizza Hut and molesting them, and and that lizard men have taken over the government, and Joe Biden will be removed from office on February 16th or March 45th or whatever QAnon believes at this point in time. And now she doesn't work for Disney. Did I cover everything? I think I got everything, didn't I?
I don't remember that's the reason she got fired.
And that's why you're supposed to do the talking. So back to you, Josh. What do you know about this?
Well, what I know is that Gina Carano, who plays Cara Dune on The Mandalorian,
and she's great. I think we both love her as Cara Dune in that show.
She, unfortunately, like most people these days, thanks to social media, accidentally became political, but without really a lot of knowledge. She started just putting in her 2 cents in things, and she was harmlessly mentioning stuff, but people came at her, okay, about certain things. At one point she was bullied because she didn't understand this whole pronoun thing that people put in all their kind of profiles now, whether it's Instagram or TikTok or whatever. And you know, and the reason people do that is supposed to be solidarity for the trans community. And she accidentally did something where she put beep boop beep or whatever.
She went what?
Just beep boop beep. People took it as sarcasm and they thought it was offensive.
That could have been a droid joke from being a Star Wars thing.
It is. It's just she just put sound effects in her mind, and I think she was thinking droids because she's freaking on the set of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
When she did it, but it was a goddamn.
I just quoted R2D2. What do you guys want from me?
It was a shit show, and she apologized because she had no idea that people took it as it being that way.
Hmm.
She didn't understand it, and some people explained it to her what the whole thing was, and she's like, "Oh," because she didn't know what it was. But the point is, there were certain moments like this, right, that she got into hot water, but they weren't enough to get rid of her. It wasn't until because after that, she started like retweeting posts about anti-vaxxing and people not, don't wear masks, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And again, this is not that big a deal.
This is where I lose sympathy. This is where Karen status established. It's like...
But then what happens is, I think it was right after the January 6th, and she has a tweet of some kind. Gosh, God help me. I should have looked this up ahead of time, because it's just going to get muddled, and someone will correct me on it, so that's perfectly fine. But I know...
Send all your hate to me. I know I'm going to get it.
I'm just saying that I'm clumsily talking about this, and I apologize.
Yeah.
But
we have no plan, folks. We have no plan.
I do know that something was said about comparing, forcing people to do the masks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Comparing to Nazi Germany. Like, the idea that if you have another thought that's not the same as what the status quo wants, they want to silence you. Mm-hmm. No matter what it may be. And that was enough for Disney to get scared. And Disney saying, okay, Lucasfilm, do what you will. Now, what I did hear was there were rumblings of the fact that before she put her foot in her mouth, because she did.
That's what this is.
I like her, but she did.
I think, yeah. Yeah.
Well, the problem was that there's kind of a civil war going on in Lucasfilm. Okay, Kathleen Kennedy, who's in charge of Lucasfilm, is on her way out, but she still has a faction and certain things that she wants to have done or launched before she goes away to still show that she mattered and that her feminist vision of the Force was still a thing and whatever. And then there's
a civil war inside of me, because part of me is like, I don't have a problem with that, and then some horrible Dark Eddie racist Eddie, it's like, it's the SJW shit, it's the rest of the quiet, get out of me, demon! Yeah.
But then the other side is the, as I've heard, called the Favreau faction. Mm-hmm. Basically, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, Lucas, who just want to do Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because it's Star Wars.
Yeah, and we can have awesome women and feminist messages in that. Just make a good Star Wars show.
And that was really bothering them, because Kathleen's faction is more about making about something with the veneer of Star Wars. That's the faith of it. Whereas they're making Star Wars that has these things in it and has it more organic. And honestly, that's what you and I and most fans want. Is I don't want badass women in science fiction. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. I'm a guy. I want this. But I don't want that to be that person's only trait. I want to know that she had a life and interest outside of the fact that something is affecting her life that makes her say enough is enough, I'm taking a stand.
Not to go too far on a tangent, sir, but I know that you're a big fan of Trevor Noah, if I'm correct, Starkiller. And you and I both are correct in assuming that in fact he and The Weeknd are the same person. But we are both fans of The Daily Show, and there was a segment of The Daily Show talking about how the alt-right and a lot of kind of cultish and environments throughout history have a very strict no masturbation policy. The alt-right, Jordan Peterson, is like, there's no honor in masturbating. There's no honor in jerking yourself. I never said it was honorable. Is when I rub one out, and I just did, by the way. right now. I didn't do it because it was auto. I could also do it like this, just like you know,
earlier I thought there was something in the shot, and I was hoping, I was like, is that his wang? No, it's his toe. But now I'm starting to think it's not your toe. You just ruined the whole thing.
It's my elongated right testicle. I'm kidding, folks. I'm kidding. Josh is jerking off below the frame too, and no one will ever believe you.
You can't do that in front of the camera. I need to set the mood.
But anyway, not to get too far in a joke, but like the point is that like like the Nazi organizations, Islamic fundamentalists, crazy Christian groups, like all these kind of extreme organizations, they discourage the young crazy men that join their groups to not masturbate. They control them, and as a result, they get really angry and frustrated, and they can only have like, you must get married in our crazy fucking group before you can jerk off, and lo and behold, it makes them crazy. Whereas people that jerk off often have a tendency to be more outgoing and actually get a woman and have more feminist ideals. It's like there's no reason that Star Wars and feminism can't be serving the same thing if just done right. It's like they're not mutually exclusive. You can have good Star Wars and still have feminist ideology in there and still have it be really good. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. So
anyway, the point is, with Kathleen Kennedy,
the point is people that jerk off respect women. That's the point. That's the.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that the people who do that, dude, can have a level-headed conversation.
Right. I just respected women just now. Hands below the frame.
Oh my god.
I have to change my pants. Hold on. No. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. Let me talk. So. The thing is, Kathleen Kennedy is on her way out and has become very jealous, honestly, of the success. Because even though she has an executive producer credit on The Mandalorian, she has no input on that show whatsoever. For multiple reasons, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
And she's having, I can tell she's hating every second. And there was a hope that they could find something to, there was a chink in the armor of that faction. And unfortunately, Cara Dune was a sacrificial lamb. Gina Carano, by doing that, gave them enough of an excuse to say, oh, let's cancel her and all this kind of stuff. Now, I don't agree with her views.
Neither do I.
Okay. But it doesn't make me dislike this person anymore. I think, here's the thing, too. I want to say this, and I felt dirty watching this. Okay, and I don't care what who's watching this, whatever your political affiliation, it is what it is. But I watched her interview with Ben Shapiro. I do not like
Ben Shapiro, our favorite person in the world.
I'm not gonna get too into this. I'm just being.
Hey, Josh, do you know that Quentin Reviews your favorite reviewer of all time because he had that Killing Joke review you hated that I made you watch? You know that he has, anytime his wiki entry is updated, it's when he talks about Ben Shapiro. And just anytime he says Ben Shapiro's a dumb fuck, his wiki gets updated. I just thought you should know that.
Oh, that's good to know. Anyway, the point is, she had a long interview with Ben, expressing her case, and honestly, I feel really bad for her because she did get to see an ugly side of liberals. Which is, to me, I still think it's the same thing like it's a minority. It's a very loud, annoying minority of people.
But it doesn't. She's never, and that's the thing. It's like she's never gonna switch sides now, because people like you and me fucked her over when it wasn't even you and me. It's like.
Because I'm listening to her story and I realized that she never was really into this, and then she decided to, and she got into politics or these things the wrong way. She needed someone to really be her friend and coach her through this, to make her understand what is what. And she can make up her own mind, that's fine. Like if I was friends with her and she disagrees with me on things, that's fine. But how to have a conversation about it and not to take to not take certain things on board and to ignore this and to be okay with, that's a thing, okay? And I don't think she had anyone like that in her corner because, again, there were people in Lucasfilm who wanted her gone. And it wasn't just that they wanted her gone because of her views. That was what they used to get rid of her. They wanted her gone because she is a part of something that's working that's not theirs. It's the same. Trust me, if he does something stupid, they will want to get rid of what's his name?
Kevin
Pedro
Feige?
Pascal.
Yeah.
Plays
Jindaro.
any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to they want to destroy the Mandalorian because it makes them look good, and it's just.
But that's the worst part is it doesn't make them look good, and it's like if we
doesn't.
And that's the thing. Let's get political again here because I think you and I both agree. I think I hate it more than you do, but Star Wars, like movie wise, didn't go in a good direction, starting with The Last Jedi, and The Last Jedi is a bad film. The reason it's a bad film isn't because it's leftist propaganda or whatever, any shit like that. It's because it's bad. That's why. But when you have people, the problem with people like Kathleen Kennedy or Ryan Johnson or the Anita Sarkeesians of the world or things like that is, frankly, as a Democrat, they make us look bad. They make us all look like crazy people obsessed with political correctness and have no thought in their head other than that. And they make people vote for Trump. They see people like that and do that. Gina Carano is a talented actress. And
Filthy
she's...
damn.
What?
You filthy damn.
Gina Carano is a very talented actress. I remember her in Deadpool. And I loved her as Cara Dune. She's great in this, and maybe she's been... I would argue she kind of went down the same road I went down, where she's been a little bit brainwashed. You know, I want to help her. I want to talk with her about it. It's just like, no, that's not what's going on. Come back. She'll never come back now because of assholes like that who just... They're mad that their vision of Star Wars didn't do well. And so they'd rather hurt what's working about Star Wars than actually pull together. And frankly, I don't need people like that in my party. Get out of the Democratic Party. I don't fucking need you here if you're going to do that shit. Because it doesn't help anything.
Eddie, it's worse than that because that interview with Shapiro was just the beginning. See, there's a... Ben Shapiro is a part of... God... It's not just a network or almost like a movie studio that's like strictly going to talk about... It's like, we're going to make movies and shows, you know, but for conservatives, that kind of thing.
It's part of the conservative media conspiracy. It's what it is.
Exactly.
It's what it is.
So in
Fox
other words,
News.
I'm like, okay. So basically, yeah. So imagine, so now Fox News or the alt-right or whatever you want to call it at this point, they're basically preparing to make their own... pure flicks, if you will.
Yeah.
She's going to star in movies.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they'll be terrible.
They probably will be. But I was like, oh, that really sucks because, I mean, the idea with the movies is that they're just movies.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly, there's going to be even if it's subtle, there's a lean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Towards whatever. Hopefully, it's subtle. I can live with
it won't be, Josh. It won't.
It won't be, but I'm knocking.
You know what the world doesn't need? It doesn't need Racial Holy War, the role-playing game, the movie. It doesn't need that. It doesn't need a movie that's more hateful and a step up than Fatal. It doesn't need that shit.
No, it doesn't.
And fortunately, we talked about this before, is that I think people like that, at the end of the day, aren't really creative. And it's not, with any luck, it's not going to last. But they might drag a few more people to QAnon and do something crazy along the way, which we don't need right now. So
it's you know what's crazy too. The more I thought about her, because I've seen Cara, Mandalorian, Deadpool. She's in a couple other films and stuff. But if you know her background, you know that she comes from the MMA world. And I'm looking at her going, how? You really do have a talent there outside of kicking my ass. You know, it's one of those people. It reminds me when you actually do have some wrestlers who are legitimately funny and talented. You just gotta get them in the right thing. Think about like Dwayne Johnson or Batista. Dave Batista gets better and better anytime he's in anything, honestly. And I kind of see that even with Cena. I mean, in the first John Cena, I was like, he's not really an actor. But I realized if you put him in a comedy, he's goddamn hysterical.
Well, you mentioned Batista. I just thought of this. It's just like, okay, so I really hate Blade Runner 2047, but you know what part of it I like about it? The very first scene with him in it. That is like, just like, stop there at the 10-minute mark, and you got a brilliant Blade Runner short movie here, just starring him. It's just like, I totally feel for his replicant. And it's just a beautiful role. He's a great job in it. It's just like, you know. And then the rest of the movie was terrible, but it was like, that was great.
I bring it up because it just reminds me that, you know, acting talent can be found anywhere.
Yeah.
And you just got, if you see it, you need to nurture it and help it grow and everything. And it's a shame because I do see her doing really, really good things. But now it's in this.
She's going down a dark road, and I hope she comes back from it.
It actually did, not to get personal, but it did remind me of you. It did.
And that's the thing. It's like, yeah, and the lesson I learned from this whole thing is that, you know, I never thought anything like that could ever affect me. I never thought, like, I could be taken in by something like that. Throughout all of that, I always considered myself a Democrat. I hated Trump and whatnot, but I started kind of going down this hole, and I learned the hard way. I am susceptible to propaganda. Everybody is, and everybody can be. And it's all the more reason to find the truth in what's really going on. And the thing is, it's like you have to be able to forgive people and to kind of bring them back from that. Declaring war against everybody is not going to solve the problem. And there's a guy, I'm forgetting his name, but there was a guy who was like royalty in like the KKK. I'm spacing on his name right now, but he's done a couple of interviews. He's reformed. He's basically, you know what I'm talking about.
This. Yeah,
young guy, red hair.
Okay, I don't remember the name though.
It'll come to me. It'll drive me crazy. But it's like, but he basically talked about how, like, yeah, he went to college and he started, like, his friends challenged him on this stuff, and he came out of it and realized, yeah, the stuff I grew up with was white supremacist. It was racist and it was wrong. And one thing he's mentioned is you need to be able to talk to these people. You need to be able to reach them and forgive them, and because otherwise their pride won't let them come back. And that's the real heartfelt thing of this too.
It's funny because I remember when the story started circulating, I was like, oh, it's like it's a real life version of American History X, which I saw that movie about 3 or 4 years ago for the first time. It took me forever.
I've still never seen it.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I need to watch American History X.
Like, there was a moment. I mean, when it first came out, I heard, you know, it was one of those like critical darling kind of films, and Oscar and all that kind of stuff. And then I was like, oh, it's overhyped. I'm not gonna watch this now. It can't be that good. And years pass, and I mean like decades. And then I finally see it, and I'm like, after all this time, yeah, it really is good. Edward Norton, basically, he it's not the Klan, but it is white supremacists. It is Aryan Brotherhood, and how he's brought up and raised in it, and he has a completely different point of view of it after he's arrested for doing vandalism. I think he did hurt some black people. I think one of them died. I can't remember, but he's in jail for a long time, and he realizes that there's really no such thing as a brotherhood once you're in the clink and all this stuff. So he opens his eyes and he becomes friends with a black man and all this stuff. And when he finally comes out and he wants to change his life for the better, he realizes that his younger brother is still in that mix and is still going down the road. And he's like, how do I save my brother to make him understand that they talk all this stuff, but they don't really care about you or the when you're in jail, it's like all loyalty goes out the window and stuff and that kind of thing. And it's lies anyway. Everything they mention is some twisted fairy tale. Ooh, you know who's also in it?
Yeah.
Avery Brooks. Cisco,
Captain Cisco. All right, my favorite Starship captain.
Yeah, me too. He's not in it as I want him to be, but he's in it.
Yeah.
And the movie has it's really tight too. There's a really good angle where the movie goes back and forth between black and white and color as well, to show you like I think like black and white is like the present, and then his past is in color. So it's crazy. It's really freaking good. I highly recommend
Unexpected review of American History X. I wasn't expecting. That was not planned on this podcast, folks.
I'm going here. That's not one of the topics we were going to talk about, but here we are.
I was just going to talk to you
Yeah.
about this wart that I have on my foot, but apparently we started talking about WandaVision, and I don't know what happened.
The only thing else I can talk, because I'm out of the loop a little bit. The only thing else I can talk about with Star Wars is not really drama. It's more like what's just coming down the pipe. I know about the many Disney Plus shows.
Before we touch on that, one more thing about Gina Carano is like one person that weighed in on this that I think is worth pointing out is Bill Maher, because Bill Maher is famously talks to everybody, and no love of Trump, funny man, but always just tries to talk to everybody to find the best solution. And he talked about like cancel culture, and he brought up Gina Carano, and he said like I didn't know who this person was, and I didn't want to, but apparently, because she had some conservative views, she's not good enough to fart around on Planet What the Fuck on a show he would never even watch at the time of day. Please, like this, leave this woman alone. Let her be in fucking Star Wars. And at the end of the day, it's just like, can she do the role of Cara Dune and do it well? Yes. Let's not ruin her life over this. You know, I mean, that's the thing.
Well, here's the thing. This kind of is segueing him into the list of shows, because Cara Dune was going to be a big part of these Disney Plus shows. She was going to lead one of them. I believe it's what the heck was this show? Because there's a bunch of them. First off, Ahsoka's getting a show.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, that's
Rosario Dawson. Favorite part. Second favorite part of Mandalorian. Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. It was just like, oh my god, she's so good.
Because I know some people when they were watching because they enjoyed the Mandalorian, but then when they heard about what was going to happen in season 2 with all these, not just big name stars, but these big name stars playing characters from existing properties, they were like, oh no, this is just in here to create spin-offs. And yes, it is. Mm-hmm. But this is an important point. If you tell a good story with good characters and they have a good chemistry with the existing characters of that show, you want to see that spin-off show now.
Right.
So yes, behind the scenes it is all part of the mouse's machinations to make more money. But if you make us want to see it, we'll completely just say, okay, shut up and take my money. I want to see this.
As you know, I'm a big Red Letter Media fan. And way back when Rogue One came out, before Last Jedi was even a thing on the horizon, I loved Rogue One. I thought it was great. And they bitched and moaned about Rogue One. It was just like, TIE Fighters! AT-ATs! And Rich Evans kind of wisely called out that this is just a soulless property now. It's a soulless... They're just putting out things that we know. They're just putting out things that people recognize. And I was like, fuck you, Rich Evans. I don't like you. Why don't you go put your Darth Vader mask off and jerk off a droid? And it was like, but he was right. He was prescient, as he often is. But even then, it's like, yeah, but you know what? Okay, fine. It's a soulless commercial vehicle. As long as it's good and it's enjoyable, that's all I care about. And Rogue One was really good. I loved Rogue One. It was cool seeing a Seven Samurai type, we're not going to make it out of this wartime story thing with Star Wars. And it's just like, and, I think one of the big problems with Star Wars way back in the day was just like, or like with Force Awakens was, I think, I can't remember if you told me about it or we just saw it on the news. It's like, oh, the expanded universe is no longer canon. And you just got really quiet. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, JJ. Whatever. Just shut the fuck up and make your movie and we'll see whether or not it is. And I was stages of grief. Denial. That was me. And I think you just kind of fast-forwarded to acceptance and you're like, okay. And so your attitude to the new Star Wars movies is not my Star Wars. So, like, when I got, Josh, the Last Jedi's the worst thing! It's so bad! You're like, I don't care. I'm reading a Thrawn book. Who gives a fuck? I'm reading the real continuity. You don't read any. It's because I don't.
You don't.
But so, but like they're kind of like undoing that now. They're bringing back everything we love, and they're doing it well. It's being done by people that love this stuff. I remember, like Bo Raton, who was, that's her name, right? Starbucks character Bo Raton. What's her name?
It's close. Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan, who appeared in Clone Wars, played by Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica, was like, where is he? Where's Grand Admiral Thrawn? It's like, ah! And Boba Fett was great. We brought Luke back. You can tell it's being done by people who give a shit. And everything. I love the new characters. I love the old characters. I love everything about the way it's executed. And it's just like season 2, like Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka Tano, and that final episode were just like I squeed.
Yeah.
I squeed. It was almost as good as the season 2 finale of Cobra Kai. Almost. That is, as we know, the greatest thing ever. Better than Endgame.
Not to get too.
You made out with Miguel. I'm gonna kill you, bitch. No mercy.
Not too. Not to get too much into Mandalorian. But the point is, John Favreau and company working on that project approached it the same way when John Favreau approached Iron Man.
Yeah.
They're putting them. It's like a Marvel formula. It's like, what are we trying to say? What is the spirit of this character? What is the themes and the message? And they go through that, and as it builds and grows, let's throw this, let's throw that, and let's branch it out. And I argue that the Disney Plus shows like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier are doing the same thing The Mandalorian is doing.
Yeah.
But for me, like as a hardcore Marvel zombie, when they start throwing names that I know most people will not recognize, I'm like, they got you! Oh crap! They're scraping the wall.
I love how you turned into the school teacher from The Wall just now. You! Yes, you! Bombs, laddie! Bombs!
Go to the wall.
We don't need no education.
No, because there's characters. I mean, this will come up when you watch the show. We talk about this again. There's characters that, and I hope you take note of names, just random people. You're like, why are we focusing on this person? Josh probably knows who the hell this person is. That's what it is.
Oh, you're gonna have to go through a list when I'm done with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Because I've watched like 20 minutes. I know I missed like 20 fucking 50. I know I missed 50 fucking references that. Because you know Avengers people more than I do. You know Cap better than I do. If it was X-Men, I probably would have caught most of them. But it was like, I already know.
I already have a small list already.
I know LAF. Like that means something super important, but I don't know what it is.
What was it again?
Huh?
What was it again?
LAF, the terrorist organization they're dealing with at the beginning of the first episode. Don't tell me now! Wait till the show's done and then blow my mind.
But that's I think that's supposed to be based on something in real life. No, I don't even know. Anyway, don't worry about it.
LAF, I think actually, yeah, it is. I think that is a real life thing. Okay, well, whatever. Yeah. I missed a reference of real life, Josh. That's how bad it was. I think it was something called Archduke Ferdinand. It was like, that's the guy who got assassinated at the start of World War I. Whatever, I don't know comic books, Josh. I don't know these things.
It really, the first episode is not as heavy with that stuff.
Yeah.
Falcon's friend is the only, that's a character from comics. Will they do anything with him comic book? We'll see. But for now, he's established. He exists. We can use him later. That's kind of how that is. And I like Torres. I like Torres. But it gets heavier in the second episode and the third episode, and I'm sure it's going to get worse as we go along. But we'll talk about that when we get to
right.
Okay? So don't worry.
New Star Wars shows.
Yeah.
What's in the pipeline, sir?
So that's what I'm saying. Is that's why we did it. We're here for that. I knew when they said, "Oh, we're gonna cast an older live action Ahsoka," I was like, "Okay, they're probably if this works, they'll do a show." And I'm for it because I did finally catch up with Clone Wars, and I do love this character. And I do love that. It was after the fact I found out that if you actually watch, if you have the DVDs or the Blu-ray, Filoni's commentaries, that he actually intended for her to be annoying to begin with, because he wanted to give her an arc.
And when Lucas gives you an arc, his go-to place is start off annoying, because that's all George knows.
Yeah. But
I was going to go into Tosche Station to pick up some power converters. Shut up,
there
Luke.
You go. No, there you go. Because I think that's what it is. Because he is a huge Star Wars fan from his childhood, And I think that might have been in his mind, thinking, how do I make a great Star Wars character? That person needs to be annoying, but you need to stay with them enough to want to see their growth and change. Because Luke, I'm sorry, when I was a kid, New Hope Luke, he could get the back of my hand all day long. God, he's annoying. The whole movie.
What a piece of junk! That's rude.
But I can't help you say the princess. I'm just a moisture farmer. Oh, I said
this is not my cock. This is my foot, America. Just so it's my disgusting foot. I'm not actually. Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to fix the droids, and I don't want to go. I can fly to get out of here, man. The whole movie is slap, 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 and it's like, but that's what makes it so good.
Ezra from Rebels.
Yeah,
just kind of like, shut the fuck up, Ezra. Shut the fuck up.
But when you go from Luke in New Hope to Empire Strikes Back, you see growth.
Yeah,
he still has some of that immaturity and those little things, and he's just him battling with Yoda, like, oh, I don't believe this, and he's struggling.
And then in The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi, we went in reverse. We started off interesting and got annoying.
Yeah, exactly. But he himself, the character's maturing and everything, to the point that he's becoming, when he talks, it's almost Zen-like. And that's what they showed us in The Mandalorian when they had him there.
In a way, that's kind of a microcosm of my experience with Mandalorian, because my first exposure was just the fucking Baby Yoda memes, and I'm like, oh, I don't care. Stop trying to... I don't care if there's a baby. It's so... Shut the fuck up. It's so annoying, and you were bitching about, dude, it's really good. It's really good. I don't care. I'm not gonna watch... I'm gonna watch it. And then I watch it. He's so cute! He's so cute! And it just...
Grogu is a win, but the thing, for me, the show was winning me over just by being the show. Just from the first episode, it took me. But yes, the baby is icing on the cake.
They are Lone Wolf and Cub. They are the wandering samurai and his baby.
It's totally Lone Wolf and Cub. It's totally Lone Wolf and Cub.
And you know what's also so this just turned into a discussion about the Mandalorian, how great it is, show.
I was trying to get on because I was gonna say, like, because at the end of the Mandalorian we get the teaser for the Book of Boba Fett, which is a series coming, starring Boba Fett and I can't pronounce his name. I know it's Morrison, but is it Tamoria? The guy who plays Django clones. But anyway,
the actor. You don't know the actor.
Yeah, he's Boba Fett, and Ming-Na Wen is Fennec.
Yeah,
and I know she's going to be in it and stuff. But there's so there's the Book of Boba Fett. There's Ahsoka, and then there's, God help me, what is it called? Wings of the Republic or something? But basically, it's supposed to be like X-Wing Fighters of the Republic kind of show.
Rogue Squadron series, if you will. Yeah, that's a mini franchise I haven't seen in a long time.
So it's that kind of thing, but it is set in the same... Like, the point I'm getting at is that these three shows, plus The Mandalorian, take place at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay? And I think...
Wedge Antilles is so fucking cool, Josh. Such a badass.
I think Cara Dune was meant to appear and have a much more important role in that Rogue Squadron-esque show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's get her back. Even though I was enjoying her as the sheriff. I think that was the idea, but clearly with her gone, that's going to be scrapped. Or not the show, but her character.
I wish her... I hope she gets away from a lot of the conservative crazy that's surrounding her now. I hope she gets out of that. And I hope, much like what happened with James Gunn, people with some fucking sense at Disney will invite her back. And and hopefully... we'll get her back like we got James Gunn. Because you know what? At the end of the day, I don't give a shit what she fucking said. She played the character just fine. Bring Cara Dune back. Who gives a fuck?
Now, as for because you mentioned Rogue One much earlier, there is a show about a character from Rogue One. It's
Kassan was his name. What was the?
It was Cassian Andor.
Cassian Andor. Yes, Red Letter Media made a lot of fun about it. They're like, hey, Mike, did you hear that a Cassian Andor show is going to be made? Cassian Andor, who's that? That's that guy from Rogue One that no one cared about. Oh yeah, that show. I think Disney should make a Rich Evans show, which is just Rich Evans just falling down and making fun of Star Wars. Sponsored by Disney Plus.
I saw the trailer to it. I'm sure there'll be a better one later. It was okay.
I'll watch it. I like that movie. So yeah.
I'll give it a shot in terms of okay, where we're going with this. But as far as interest goes, it's not that high.
I think my problem with that is like, I mean, that's a problem with a movie where the character dies at the end. It's like, we told his story?
It's, in a way, yeah. Well, we told his final vow, essentially. We know his curtain call.
Like, can you imagine, like, watching Cowboy Bebop and starting with the Real Folk Blues Part 2? You know how it ends.
Yeah. So then, in other words, we're going to do a new show. We're going to do a new show. Telling you all the stuff that happens before it. Okay, yeah, that's cool.
It's like the anti-Berserk. You know, you start off killing a snake demon, and then we get what happened before. But he does shit after the snake demon. It's a lot of shit.
Just so you know, there's another Berserk series that talks about the stuff after.
Yeah, I'm behind. I know. I'm glad it's finally getting ended. I don't think he's finished the series yet. Kento Miura is still just... I'm taking my time. I'll drag this out as long as I can.
And you know the funny thing is he probably is in the same quarantine location as George R. R. Martin. It's like I'm going to finish this book. I swear.
He's more productive than George R. R. Martin, Josh. George is like, hey, I'm going to a new interview. You want to go? No, I have a manga to slowly draw.
No, but no. You know what kills
You're
me
no fun.
You know what I was the one of the bright lights of this whole mess would have been if he said, hey, guess what? I have a book done.
You got off your ass? Dude.
No, but,
Josh, I am writing more than George R. R. Martin. I made one book!
No, hold on.
And a short story.
No, the problem is he is writing. He's just, it's ridiculously long. Because he keeps adding more stuff to it. And it's like, George, just tell the story.
Give us...
You know? And here's the thing. This is my personal feeling about this. My personal feeling is that when it's all done, I do believe it'll be better than the show ending.
Oh, of course it will!
But people will hate it.
Dude, that was a hit. No, that was a fucking mafioso masterful hit. Season 8. It's just like yeah, we just want to hurry this up and go write Star Wars, because, yeah, it's not like Star Wars can turn it. So we're just going to hurry this up and just things like that. And he's like, I haven't written anything in 10 years. I'm not going to about to start anyway. Let's see what happens. And it's like, oh, I loved it. It was great. Oh. Well, in 30 years when I finish this book, I'm going to make that different. Guaranteed.
Here's the thing is, my thought on that is that he's, like I said, it will be better, simply because of his style of writing is when his writing was adapted to the show, that was one of the best episodes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I get that. I mean, I'm not saying he's perfect, because there's stuff in the book that's sort of like, what the hell? But I think it will all make sense in the end, and there'll be a much more satisfying ending. But I still think people will hate it because, one, people got to bitch about something. And number two, because if it's George R. R. Martin's Game of Thrones, which it is, a lot of people are going to die. That was one of the things, too. Like, wow, a lot of people made it out of this show where you never knew who was going to live. Huh.
This show got a lot less early Walking Dead than it was before in later seasons.
Yeah. It's like, it almost seems like the people writing
especially with, dudes called walkers who are dead. A lot of people made it out just fine.
Anyway, and the another show for Star Wars is Obi-Wan Kenobi, which will star Ewan McGregor.
Oh, cool.
And they have confirmed that Hayden Christensen will be in it as Vader. They've confirmed there's a couple. I mean, it's actually a cast list came out, and it's a lot of really good actors and actresses. Famous. I can't remember all of them right at the top of my head at the moment. Clearly unprepared was I. But
no plan, people. No plan whatsoever.
But again, okay. Off camera, I talked to you once about the fact that these Disney Plus Marvel shows are essentially more like miniseries than they are season ones. Falcon and Winter Soldier, for example, is being advertised like this 6-part event. Yeah, that's miniseries to me.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan is also confirmed that it's a miniseries. We're just doing 6 episodes of this. We're telling this story of, basically transitioning Obi-Wan from episode 3 to episode 4. What was he doing? What was he doing? And when did he learn? That kind of stuff. And things like that. And it's funny because this was, if you know anything, this was originally meant to be a movie that they canned because Solo was Solo. Same thing with like The Mandalorian.
Don't be knocking my favorite movie, Josh. I mean your favorite movie, because you speak up for that.
The Mandalorian.
You and Timothy Zahn like that movie, Josh. You're in good company.
Yeah, but Solo was okay. It's not that bad. It's just not good. It's like that's the thing. I really because I watched it.
I fucking loved it. No, I didn't.
No, everyone was like, "Oh, this is horrible." And I'm like, really?
It's not as okay. Again, like for me, that was. I watched that movie, but I didn't watch that movie because me watching that movie wasn't me watching that movie. It was me poking a dead body in a river with a stick to see if it was still dead. That's all it was. That's all it was. This was like, yep, it's dead. It's out. It's like the car accident was the Last Jedi. The Solo was poking to sure that it's up. Yep, it didn't make it. It's dead. And then the Last Jedi was attempting a possible Frankenstein-style resurrection. Or no, not even that good. Weekend at Bernie's. It's fine. It's alive.
No.
Oh, Bernie!
No.
Oh, Bernie!
No, you got the name wrong. You said Last Jedi when you meant Rise of Skywalker.
What?
You said Last Jedi twice. You meant to say Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. Whatever that fucking shit movie was. And then I guess the Mandalorian is like the body is dead. We know it's all dead. It's slumped against the wall, and then the eyes wake up, and it's like the ending of Space Mutiny where John Philip Law just wakes up like, Barbarella, I'll be in a sequel that'll never happen.
I like to think of the Mandalorian as if the Reanimator got his formula right. So it's like we're back, but
I like the idea of putting Jeffrey Combs in this bizarre sketch we're doing for what's happening in Star Wars.
I think Jeffrey Combs should be in one of these shows to begin with. That would be fantastic.
I started watching Ninja Turtles 2012 because of you, and he's in it.
Who is he?
He's the Rat King, isn't he? But the way so he's a psychic. He starts off as a psychic, and he winds up controlling rats. He's fucking terrifying. But it's Jeffrey Combs. I could meet Jeffrey Combs at a convention and go to and like get lunch with him, and I will be absolutely terrified the entire time.
Hold on, how far are you with him? Like, what does he look like right now?
I think we're gotten into the. I'm moving slow. You know me. I'm collecting it. But it's like I saw him. He got the psychic powers, and they reference that's how April's got the psychic powers. And then next episode, he's doing experiment on the stuff, and there are rats everywhere, and it's like, oh no,
okay. No. I'm just gonna say, okay. So Jeffrey Combs also did like the 4th season Scarecrow voice Batman anime series.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So all I'm gonna say is this: the Rat King, when the next time you see him, looks more like that character.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay. We used to do this all the time. Last Man Standing. Classic Rat King versus Jeffrey Combs Rat King. Okay, no. Hold on. Stop. No. Mirage Comics Rat King. 87's Rat King versus Jeffrey Combs Rat King. Go.
Okay, that one you have me at a disadvantage because I don't know Mirage Rat King well at all.
Okay.
The 87 one, I remember the rats. I remember what he looked like. I had the action figure. I remember he was a very buff Rat King. Like, honestly, he looked like he could take you down.
He is the most badass looking homeless crazy person that you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, exactly. It was like he was supposed to be like an action 80s actor, and then he fell off and then lived in the sewers and controlled rats.
Yeah. Willard got jacked.
Yeah, he got
Willard's
jacked.
like, yeah.
Whereas the other one, okay, so the 2012 one, without giving away spoilers, he is very terrifying and very powerfully effective with his abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's like when it's a Rat King episode, it's like, oh, it's a Rat King episode.
Yeah.
He pulls complete focus. So it's like, whereas the other one, the other Rat King kind of felt like he's a threat, but I don't know, did they ever have, does he ever like team up with Shredder or any of them?
He teamed up with Leatherhead more often than anything else, and in a couple of badder encounters, he teamed up with the Mob. I think he did team up with Shredder maybe once or twice, but mostly like his partner was Leatherhead in the 87s.
Okay. Yeah, because what I'm getting at is that I know a show would have gone on that he's a threat that the Turtles could still take on even if he teams up with people.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with the 2012, if the 2012 Rat King teamed up with any other villain in that show, I mean, the Turtles would need more help because it takes all of them to take care of the Rat King. In fact, he definitely is more of a Splinter villain. As much as Shredder is like the Magneto to his Professor X, in that show, he's got another one. I mean, I kind of think...
He's got two Magnetos. You know what it is? It's Magneto and Cassandra Nova, basically.
Sort of. I was almost going to say, to me, the Rat King in 2012 is like Splinter's Shadow Thing. It's kind of like that.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, that works. Yeah, that's...
Whereas
Cassandra's too weird.
The one in 87, he didn't make it as personal. It's like, I kind of hate living. Or I'm an enemy to whoever.
So the correct answer is, I don't know who the winner would be, but I know who the loser would be the 87 one, because now, okay, so the Rat King in the comic was very menacing and badass. He was like everything about the 87s without any of the bad stuff. Mm-hmm. The 87 Rat King was a legit threat and was menacing and could control rats and teamed up with Leatherhead and things like that. And could, I think, especially in concept, was just like a genuinely menacing villain who could control Splinter and whatnot. Jeffrey Combs is just terrifying in anything he's in and awesome in anything he's in, so from what I've seen, he's badass there. The problem is, I don't know who wins between the Mirage comic and the Jeffrey Combs version, but the 87 loses because the bad moments with the 87 Rat King are pretty embarrassing. Namely, the time he stole a pizza from April. There's an episode where I believe the plot is Shredder, because, listen, I love the 87, it's my favorite continuity, and all the villains had times to shine in that one for the most part. And I love Shredder and Bebop and Rocksteady, but Shredder's scheme of the week was he's been running a pizza place for months in the hopes that the Ninja Turtles will call in, because at this pizza place they can order any toppings they want, so he can put poison on their pizza and then kill them. Lo and behold, this doesn't work. And while they're dealing with that, April's like, the pizza's no good, there's poison on it! Turtles! And she's on a payphone. You can't do... And the Rat King crawls up out of the sewers. It's like, ah ha ha, April. It's not the Rat King! You've kidnapped me like a bunch of times! Is that pepperoni and butterscotch? Ha ha! And he yanks it away and... and then he's gone from the episode. It's like number 3 in Phalus's like dumbest moments of TMNT. It's like, this is what he has to do to get a pathetic little victory for himself? Stealing a pizza from April? Really?
That is so stupid. But anyway,
my favorite is the number 2, which is a Krang plot, which is, this potion will make the Ninja Turtles fall in love. Krang, goddess of love.
I remember that episode. The pizza one I don't remember. The Krang, I don't know how he did.
Krang, goddess of love!
Okay, so yeah, I mean, based on what I know, because I wouldn't even refresh the course on the other two, but for me, I would have to say this. I know he's worth. And when you keep going through that show and you see his later appearances, you'll agree. So you'll be like, okay.
I love Jeffrey Combs in anything. Part of the reason why I like Full Moon so much is he keeps showing up in Full Moon stuff.
Jeffrey Combs' performance is a big part of it, sure.
Yeah.
But just in general, it's a combination of the whole thing. Because honestly, I kind of got sucked into the character. I know it's Jeffrey Combs, but I see a character, not just Jeffrey Combs.
Well, he always does a good job. He always does a quality performance. It's like...
what was I gonna say?
Josh, he's Wayun. He's Liquidator Brunt, Josh. Liquidator Brunt.
Well, for me, it's...
Hello, Quark. I got a business deal for you.
But I think what they were really going for in the 2012 Turtles was... Because look at him.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at the character that he is before he's really the Rat King, and clearly they were like, "Ooh, we want to do the Reanimator. Where's Jeffrey Combs? Where's his number? We want."
He starts off. He's doing science experiments. He's making mutant monkeys.
Look at the character. His hair is parted the same way. It's the same color.
Yeah.
It's the same jacket. It's the same. It's the Reanimator.
Dr. West. Dr. West. I'll get you West.
Yeah. So, that's what they were doing from that one. The latest thing I've heard Jeffrey Combs in, because I played it a couple days ago, was Injustice 2. He's Brainiac. It's fantastic.
Who's he in Injustice 2?
He's Brainiac. He's the main villain of
the
game.
Cool. I think I bought Injustice 2. I haven't played it yet. That was a birthday gift for myself.
That was a Christmas
I would have played it, Josh, but I was too busy playing Jay and Silent Bob Brawl, which was made by Alan Guinan, the creator of Eskimo Bob and friend of Phaelus. It's Kano from Mortal Kombat. Okay, but you don't know that because you hate Canada.
All right. I'm pretty much done. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Did we want to talk about the Snyder Cut?
Let me see. I think my phone is getting ready to die. So if I do talk about it, it's going to be abridged.
Or do we want to save that for next time?
We probably should save it for next time.
Okay. There's one more thing I would like to take us out on, which I think is a perfect thing to take us out of. Let's talk about Yellowstone very briefly. I don't want to talk too much about it. So Yellowstone is, for those who don't know, it's a Kevin Costner show. It's in 3 seasons, which is highly critically acclaimed, and it's so good. And my sister bought it for me. I don't know why. And here it is. Yeah. And my sister's all like, I've been watching the show with Kevin Costner, and I really like it, but I don't know if you'd like it. I'm like, fine, whatever, Kimberly, send me, fine. So she sends me this thing, and I start watching it, and I'm like, why the fuck? Apparently, it gets really good in season 2. I've had this for 3 months now, and I've just gotten to episode 5. It's that difficult to watch. So, the basic premise is that Kevin Costner is the wealthiest landowner. He's the wealthiest cattle rancher in Montana. He owns this huge plot of gorgeous land. It's one of those shows where just like the scenery is just beautiful. It's like that. It's like Ethan Van Sciver. The art is great. It's like, it's absolutely beautiful. But basically, what's that?
Pretty
pictures. And he's very wealthy. He's actually in charge of the cattle commissioner, and he's literally doing the governor, like the governor he's sleeping with. So the real story here is he's very wealthy. He's a big cattle ranch guy. But he's corrupt, and the problem with the show is that he's being Kevin Costner, and he's being Kevin Costner, good guy, cowboy hero, but that's not really what he's playing. He's the Godfather. He's a crime lord, essentially. But unlike the Italian mafia scene and things like The Godfather, you know, who we know what we're dealing with, there's no pretensions, we're the mob, we know we're not saints, who gives a fuck, we just don't care. It keeps distracting me because he comes across, like, heroic and whatnot, and he's not. The show is about him it's a drama dealing about with dealing with the government and dealing with the local Native American tribe that has a beef with him, and this land developer who's played by General Stryker from X-Men Origins Wolverine, and shit like that. Also, there's a lot of comic book actor things, because Wes Bentley, Blackheart from Ghost Rider, is one of his sons, and it's very distracting. And he was the worst Jonathan Kent in existence, so it's just like, it's like 3 comic book references, and it hurts my head. Anyway, the show is like ridiculous, and I think one of my biggest problems with the show is Kelly Riley, very talented actress, plays the most insufferable character in the world, which is Beth, his daughter, who is basically just a miserable bitch. That is her character, and she does a great job. She's a talented actress. She sells it, but she's just, every scene with her is just very, very difficult to get through, and it drives me crazy. But anyway, I'm starting to like this show, not for the right reasons. Not liking it because I'm invested in the drama. I'm starting to like it because it is soap opera trash, and it's stupid and ridiculous. And here's the thing. So here's the cast. Here's the cast. There they all are. And this guy here, Casey, is this guy is one of his sons, whereas Wes Bentley is the lawyer. She's the bitch. He is a Army Ranger. And the thing about him is that, like, this show is a drama, but it keeps throwing action movie bullshit into it. And I'm like, why? You're a drama. You don't need to do this. But it keeps doing it. So, and this character in particular, I decided to start calling Batman, because I noticed he's an ex-Army Ranger guy who's married to a Native American woman and living on a crappy farm in the Native American territory. And he should be focused on raising his son and taking care of his wife and things like that. But he keeps on becoming a vigilante and running around doing bullshit. So, like the first episode, there's problems with the Native Americans, and Kevin Costner does something stupid and gets his people to go steal back a bunch of cattle the Native Americans took. And long story short, his other son gets killed. He dies in the first episode. He's not really worth referencing. Anyway, but Casey gets involved and sees his brother get shot, so he kills the guy that did it. That guy happened to be his wife's brother. So now he's killed his wife's brother, and he's got a problem. So episode 2, he's not telling his wife this. There's problems, there's drama. And, okay, so first episode, there was some action movie bullshit and shooting that didn't necessarily need to be there. Okay, fine. Where are we going with this? So the second episode, he's not telling his wife there's a problem. She's like, knows there's a problem. He's calling up his old commander and like, hey, maybe I can go back to the Rangers. Maybe I could re-enlist. And he's thinking about going back in. And then she finds out, oh, you're going back in the Navy? You didn't want to, the Army. You didn't want to tell me. So they're driving through the desert. And this is where I started to notice a pattern. They're driving through the desert and they're having an argument. Typical drama scene. It's just like, she's mad at him. It's like, you're not going to tell me you're going to rejoin the Army. It's like, I wasn't sure if I could tell. Argument scene. A house explodes. Just randomly a house fucking explodes. And I'm like,
okay,
what? And this is just the thing that happens. And so then he's like, oh, it must have been a meth lab. Because Breaking Bad, I guess. No, Josh, yes. That's what my face did. And so he runs over, he pulls out his gun, and there's a guy that's horribly burned, and he's all like, oh no, he's horribly burned. He's suffering. We can't possibly wait 45 minutes for the ambulance to arrive and deal with this themselves. I have to step in. Look away, honey. No, don't do it. I have to do it. And he shoots him in the face. He didn't have to do that, but he chose to do it. Again? What?
Where is this again?
Montana? This Montana.
Okay, I do love how the show is basically like, you don't know that this is a common thing in Montana? We just have meth labs that just explode.
Yeah, and they just explode. It just happens.
And, and sometimes you gotta put down a guy to end his suffering. I mean, it's hilarious because it's like, did you want me to know this? It's like, is that what the purpose of the show? To now show us, hey, forget about Florida, come Montana.
We got the real crazies. And this would be fine, I guess, if this is a one-off thing. This keeps happening. So the third episode, he's out in the desert with his son, and his son is really annoying because the actor who plays his son, who again, nothing against the actor, he seems like a nice kid, he's doing what he's being told to do, but he's like 12 years old and he's playing 5, so he's way too energetic and excited, like, yay, I can't wait to see Grandpa, and I'm like, shut up. Nice kid. It's not his fault. It's the script. He should probably be a little bit Play 8. Play 8 years old, not 5. But anyway, so his kid's out there. He's out with his son, and they're hanging out, and they're shooting. He's shooting like cans with a BB gun, and of course, Army Ranger badass Batman dad, and I will be calling him Batman for the remainder of this discussion. Batman is out there with his AK-47 shooting cans as well because Batman. So they start going home, and they're talking more drama, and then he passes by like again to the middle of the desert. In the middle of the desert, there's a white van, and he passes by it. Now you or I would just drive on past because we're normal. But Batman's like, I don't know, son. I think this is weird. Let me just pull my massive gun out of the glove box in front of your seat, and take care of this. And can you still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay, the screen has frozen up, so hopefully we're still recording. No, now we're good. We're good. All right, we're all set. Like he pulls out his massive gun out of the glove box right in front of his tiny son, and it's like, let me go take care of this. So it's like, and so he tells his son, hey son, go hide in this pipe in the middle of the fucking desert, and don't come out until I come and get you. So he goes and checks it out, maybe it's nothing. Sure enough, a rape situation is happening. There's like two guys who have abducted a girl and taped up her mouth and whatnot, and there's a rape scenario happening, and they pull guns and start shooting at him and trying to run away. So he's fighting rapists, and for more dramatic convenience, that would make, who's the guy who created Green Goblin? Steve Ditko? Like the guy who created Blue Beetle, Steve Ditko? Yeah, make Steve Ditko spin in his grave. Sure enough, the girl that was being raped is like his wife's cousin or something like that. It's like, it just so happened there's a familial connection. So he has this gunfight with these two rapists in the middle of the desert, and meanwhile, the son that's in the pipe, well, like, there's a fucking rattlesnake in there, because we're in the fucking desert. Of course there's a rattlesnake in there. And so his son has to fight a rattlesnake. So, this is the third episode, and they're walking down the street, and just, like, mind your own business. We're normal people. We don't have to do anything special here. This isn't a superhero show. Rapists and rattlesnakes. And then that's when I realized, oh my god. This is my role-playing game. These are random encounters. These are random... That's what these fucking are. It's like, oh my god. And I'm like, okay, now I just want to just bash myself as a writer for a minute. So, I haven't put it up on YouTube yet, but we've been doing the Buffy game. And the way I handle Sunnydale is that Sunnydale at night is Minecraft. If my players go, namely Alex, go anywhere, a vampire or something, or a cyborg slayer from the future tries to eat them. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, I just wanted to get groceries. Well, you should have done that during the day. It's Sunnydale at night, bitch. But Buffy's an action show. It's about punching monsters. That's expected. This is a drama. You don't need this. But it keeps doing it. It keeps doing it from episode to episode. So now we come to see episode 5, and I want to talk about this one. This one had, like... The episode starts off with Batman going... so because he keeps on running around doing vigilante bullshit, the Native Americans are mad at him, and they've, like, holding him for killing the rapists and whatnot. And he winds up having to go to the Dutton Ranch, Kevin Costner's ranch. And they're staying there, and there's a really boring 5-minute scene at the beginning of the episode where he goes out and gets a horse that was a wild horse that he raised, and he goes and he rides out into the forest. And then we cut to the opening credits, and like, that accomplished a lot. So he's out there, and he's wandering around, and sure enough, a bear shows up, because random encounters. Because apparently 5 minutes went by in Sunnydale, Montana, and we hadn't had an action scene and hadn't had a random encounter, because apparently I'm writing this. And a bear shows up. And in a rare moment of sanity, he doesn't shoot the bear, he just tries to get away from it, and he starts waving, hey, makes himself taller, and whatnot. So then a gunshot goes off and the bear runs away. The gunshot comes from Rip Hunter, who is the head ranch hand, who really looks up to Kevin Costner as a father, and is sleeping with Beth, and is her love interest. He... very well acted. The guy who plays him does a really good job. But this character is awful, and also an awful person who, like, kills people for Kevin Costner. That's all you really need to know. So, they don't... What?
Wait, the character is named Rip Hunter?
Rip Hunter, that's right.
Like the DC Comics character?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, his name's Rip Hunter. I don't know, Josh. Ask Taylor Sheridan. He wrote this shit. So, no, obviously, it was me. Obviously, my brain, in a conversation with you, went into Taylor Sheridan's head, and that's what happened. So, Rip Hunter doesn't like Batman, obviously, because DC Comics, And so they're like, yeah, some of us work for a living. So immediately after being rescued from a bear, after getting him out of Random Encounter 1, he gets in Random Encounter 2 because he gets into a fist fight with Rip Hunter. So Batman and Rip Hunter start punching each other, and they're like, ugh, he punched like a girl, and he walks and minds his own business. So, 2 random encounters, first 10 minutes of the show. That's fine. So, meanwhile, Kevin Costner wants them to live on the ranch with him, and so he's telling Batman's wife, who's the Native American lady, hey, I can get you a job at a university, and if you get a really job, it's like, hey, well, that would be abandoning my students, and these kids are the reservation, they need all the help they can, I'm not leaving. So, and they also don't like Kevin Costner, because Kevin Costner's character's a douchebag. That's part of the story of, and again, nothing against Kevin Costner, because I can see, just leave that man alone. You leave him alone. He was in The Postman, and you will respect him for that. You will respect the Mariner. You will respect... Obviously, since I'm missing and I were all having a really bad day. Now, anyway. Bring me to dry land.
You do not understand how hard I'm trying to focus, and it's not because of you telling the story. It's because this story sounds so boring. That I understand now why there's random encounters.
That's Yellowstone. so
well, that's also Kevin Costner. Like, that's the whole thing. He's a walking ambient. Okay?
That man is a saint. You leave him alone. You stop it right now.
He is a saint. He's the patron saint of putting you to sleep.
You're awful. You're the worst. So anyway, so they're driving. Like what?
I'm a corrupt person here in Yellowstone. Everyone,
my boat. I don't like dry land.
You know what? You know what I want now? Screw this, because they're gonna do it anyway. Years from now, live action Toy Story by Disney. Kevin Costner plays Woody. I'm calling it now, folks. There's a snake in my boot. That's gonna be it.
No! And he looks like this. He looks like John Dutton. There's a snake in my boot. So anyway,
Buzz, no.
So anyway, so while I was looking, I went on Reddit and I was trying to look. Is like, does anybody hate the character of Beth as much as I do? And one good thing about that episode is she finally gets chewed out by Kevin Costner in it. And it's like, oh my god, because no one ever tells this woman off. They just let her just be a miserable bitch to everybody. The woman is walking negativity. But it turns out the internet, a lot of people, half the internet hates her because she's insufferable to put up with. The other half really likes her because I think they're really like Kelly Riley. They like, hey, dude, she's doing some really good acting. And again, I'm not refuting the acting. She's doing a great job. It's just the character. She's doing too good of a job. That's my problem. But it turns out the character people really hate is Batman's wife. Because apparently Batman's wife gets really, really bad in Season 2. And she's kind of insufferable. And again, her entire role, so from what I've seen so far, is disapproving wife. Well, she's like, you did what again? And which is she's basically like the Skylar role from Breaking Bad. She's basically like she's annoying because she's stopping us from having fun. We want to see Walter White run around and deal meth and blow up a turtle with Donnie Trejo's head on it and fun things like that. But in all honesty, Skylar is right. She's the good character because she's watching her marriage fall apart. She's watching her husband make all these mistakes. Yeah, she's annoying, but she's right. And so it feels like she's supposed to be that. It's like, why are you being a vigilante? Why are you doing this? Why can't you just help me around the house? Why are you shooting rape? Why are you putting our son in a pipe with rattlesnakes? And it's like, but her performance is like a woman who's basically like soup was a little too cold at a bistro. She's like, ugh. It's like you went and shot rapists again. Oh my god. It's like, and that's her performance. So it's like, so you understand how I am slowly falling in love with this fucking show now.
Stupid.
All the wrong reasons.
Yeah, this show is retarded.
It's retarded, and it's like, okay, so all right, so they're driving to school, and Kevin Costner's been bonding with her son, and her son's like, I want to live on Grandpa's ranch. Grandpa's ranch is awesome. Our house sucks, and also they don't discipline their son because Batman was abused when he was a kid, And she, I think a cultural thing, she feels like it's not her place to boss her son around. So basically, she likes to think, our house sucks dick. And she's like, don't say that! And she keeps driving. And just like, so she doesn't discipline her son. So they get to school, and there's some commotion going on, and there's a fight going on, and I'm like, random encounter 3. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, call the resource officer. Get another teacher to help you. Don't do this by yourself. And it's like, stay right here. I'll be back. And I'm like, this isn't going to end well. And these two kids are fighting and punching back and forth. And she goes right up and, hey, what's going on? Fuck! Right, her head just goes down like this. Bah! Out. Blood oozing out of her head. And I started laughing. It was the funniest fucking shit. It's like, fools rush in, Herb. Boot to the head. It was beautiful. It's like, I told you not to do it. I told you not to do it. So she gets brained, and then so the rest of the episode she's walking around with a bandage on her head, and she's fine. She's fine. Like, yeah, I just got hit in the head. I'm fine. She goes home, and there's a whole scene where the kid's being annoying because he's being bratty, and so her grandfather takes him outside, and her grandfather gives him a wise Native American speech. Your son, you must be kind to your grandparents. You must be kind to your parents because your father won't discipline you because he was abused, and your mother, it's not her place to discipline you, so they don't know what to do. Now, if I had been harder with my grandson, he might be alive today, right? Goes completely over the kid's head. Basically, this guy gives stereotypical wise Native American speech to a 5-year-old kid, and 5-year-old kid's like, I don't give a fuck. It's like, it's just like, yeah, great parenting there, Grandpa. Great job. Great job. And then he stands up and goes, wow, a spaceship! And at this point, I'm like, oh my god! Oh my god! Because it's like, no, because, okay, so when she gets brained in the head, I had a little conniption. I believe I texted you this. Something to the effect. And I texted everybody. I texted Davis and Ahmed and everybody, and I'm like, oh my god, the show. And I started having just a minor freak out at work. And it's like, I swear to god, if I keep watching the show, Cyborg BJ from my Buffy game's gonna show up. Spike's gonna show up in full vamp face. It's gonna happen. It's just a horde of orcs. And then this kid's like, look, a spaceship! And I'm like, oh my god! It's not a spaceship. It's a drone. But still, random encounter 4. There's a drone because there's a dinosaur skeleton. I forgot to mention this. So in the second episode, Batman is trying to get a tree stump off his property by moving a tractor, and he's having trouble with it, and he breaks the tractor. So, again, he's Batman. So he gets a big tin of, like, gasoline and puts it by the tree stump and then goes back to the house and shoots it and blows it up. And then the wife comes out and is like, what the hell was that? And, like, I blew up a tree stump and then, ugh, my soup is cold. And she walks away. And underneath it, there's a fucking velociraptor skeleton. Because random encounter. So there's just a dinosaur skeleton there. And apparently he has left the dinosaur skeleton there the entire time instead of, I don't know, taking it to a museum and selling it for millions of dollars so he could financially take care of his wife and son on this crappy farm and get away from the influence of his father. But no, he just fucking left it there. He didn't even cover it with a tarp. I know, Josh! I know! So now there's a drone there. And the drone is being controlled by a bunch of treasure hunters who are out in the fucking Montana desert looking for things. And they're like, hey, look, a dinosaur skeleton. And they're like, hey, we can rip this off and take this. Because they have sense, they want money. So in a rare moment of lucidity, he doesn't shoot the thing down. He just tries to throw a bunch of rocks at it and stuff like that. And then his friend, a Native American guy, comes up with a rifle and shoots the thing. So Robin shot the fucking thing down this time. Robin got the XP. So then they chase after the guys in the car who had the drone, and they chase after them. They had guns on them. Batman had guns on him. Random encounter complete. So then they go back to the house, and mind you, Native American wife was fine this entire time, and then all of a sudden she has a little trouble standing, falls down to the ground, and apparently needs mouth-to-mouth and chest compressions. Random encounter 5. And I haven't watched anything after that. So in conclusion, this is the best show I've ever seen in my life, because it's fucking retarded. Go watch Yellowstone. If you want your brain to melt out of your head, watch Yellowstone.
My recommendation is that you watch that show immediately once we're done.
I'm going to. Probably.
Because we need to wrap this up.
Yeah. Will you be joining us for tonight? Or you got to do something else?
No, I got something else.
Okay, all right. So, okay, I guess that's it. Next time. Okay, you want to do this next week?
Yeah, we can do this again next week.
Next week, okay. Next week we'll talk about the Snyder Cut and you know because you and I so love the Snyder Cut. Did you like that scene where they Lois was talking to Martha Kent and it turned out it was Martian Manhunter because reasons?
I did want to actually. I think a lot of my discussion has to do with Martha Manhunter, but yeah, I want to talk about what I saw.
Isn't it so much better now that we had a longer version of this that all the problems with the DCU are mystically gone?
What I want to say to people is that my discussion about it will not be as long as the actual movie itself.
Oh, thank God. All right. Hey, Josh, you can full blanket this if you want.
Wait, no. Get this, because the thing was, like I told you before, the thing was meant to be longer.
Yeah.
So the Snyder Cut was cut.
Yeah.
By Snyder, by the way. There's still stuff left on the floor, and I'm like, seriously, dude.
Oh God.
In 4 hours.
He's gonna make a Tales of the Black Freighter DVD release. What the fuck?
I want to talk about some of the things I saw. I mean, it's been talked about a lot already, but I will talk about it. I want to use it as a jumping off point to explain what I think the DCU should have been from the beginning. And also, I want to torture you with the fact that running around now is hashtag revive the Snyderverse. So
because I'm not allowed to be because
universe to exist. That's what I want.
I have a bottle of sand, Josh. I know it looks like honey, but it's sand. And each grain of sand is a dream that never came true. I stole that from The Amazing Atheist. Yeah. And that is Pirate Radio, folks. Again, tune in next time for more zany antics. And go check out Starkiller when he gets his YouTube channel up eventually, whenever that's going to happen. He tells me he's going to inform me. I'm sure I'll have to bother him about it.
I will.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. All right. Good time, sir. And we will catch you next time. And we'll talk about how the Snyder Cut has changed our lives for the better and goodliness and good things. So, catch you all later, folks. All right. How do I turn this thing off? I don't know how to stop the show, Josh.